starts now. What's your name? It starts now, Stampy Aiden. So when's it gonna start? I guess I was taking too long for everybody. Well, it is 11:20 here in Japan, 11:20 in the morning. I had to do a few things. That's why the show isn't normally at its normal time. We're doing it a little later. It's after 9. Usually we do this at 8 o'clock. But welcome, guys, and thank you for coming to this episode of hashtag Make America Think Again. I have a guest coming on today. A lot of you, if you watch me, you might already know who this person is. But if you don't watch me and you haven't followed me, Austin is here.
Hey, Sune.
What's up, man?
Nothing much. How are you today?
Good. Casey, don't start your shit. He said you're too slow. I couldn't help it. I'm human, all right? This is work, but I was having a life, I guess.
Better late than never. That's
right.
The saying, isn't it? She's here, ladies and gentlemen. Suni made sure to be here. It was kind of my fault, if anybody wants to know. It was kind of my fault, but Suni's being nice. Doesn't want to blame me.
Listen, guys, do you have your shirts? Did everybody put on their shirt tonight for this episode? Go get your shirt if you haven't had this shirt.
I will be wearing mine this week.
Way ahead of you. Sure. I'm going to look at a few of these comments and then we'll get into the show. I won't have you long, I promise. Well, you have a life, things come up. Right? People don't think I have a life. They're like, oh, so you're not like Suni all the time in front of the camera? Like, no. I got stuff to do. You got yours? Nice. You got yours? Said I'm in PJs. Okay, you get a pass. If you want to get the shirt, there's a website, www.primetimepatriots.org for the Make America Think Again shirts.
They're beautiful, by the way. I love the shirts. I think they pop, and I think that they send a great message.
That was the goal. I want to start another one, but I won't tell you what it is yet. It's going to be a funny one. Everybody got their shirts. Awesome, guys. I'm glad you got your shirts. I hope you like it. The quality is great. The quality of all our stuff is great, by the way. So if you haven't ordered some stuff, go get some stuff. We got hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeves, V-necks. Go check it out. So today was pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. I can't say that I'm surprised by the Supreme Court. I know you're not. I'm really not surprised. I didn't think they were going to do much of anything when it came to the election-related disputes in Pennsylvania. What I do think is this is a moment for America to sit back, think, and figure out a plan going forward. That's what I will say. I have faith that we can definitely put a stop to it, bring awareness, and hold people accountable. I think that definitely can happen. But it doesn't happen unless we are all like collectively working together. And I mean together to fight for this country. Because our leaders they're not going to hold each other accountable, it seems. It seems like everybody's got something to hide. And nobody has America's best interest at heart. In my opinion, this is what's happening here. Can somebody answer Wyatt's question? I know we have some moderators and some people that work with Primetime Patriots in the comment section. I don't exactly know what you mean by donate, but I wanted to make sure I addressed that. Excuse me. So they rejected the court case as moot, as President Biden has been sworn in as the nation's 46th president, and Mr. Trump is no longer in office, in addition to declining the take-up of the two cases involving Pennsylvania's deadline for the mail-in ballots. The Supreme Court also rejected election-related disputes from Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, and Wisconsin with no noted dissents. And Supreme Court, like Thomas, his response is everybody's response to this crap I just read. So we're not going to hold anybody accountable before the election because this was in Supreme Court. And we're not going to do it afterwards. And it's going to completely invite further confusion and the erosion of voter confidence. You already have people that don't believe their vote matters. This is going to cement that for a lot of people. Our elections are going to be weird as crap going forward. I'm not surprised though. Like, no. Austin, maybe I'm just not surprised.
I am surprised about one thing, but at the same time, I'm not surprised about it. So your three justices that were joined in the scathing dissent by Justice Thomas, if you read the dissent, it's scathing and it's very clear and it's a common sense opinion. That's what's important about it. There's no hyperbole. There's no assumptions. There's no, misinformation. It is a very well-written opinion. Going forward than that, I wasn't surprised, by the way, that Brett Kavanaugh did not join the dissent because I believe that ACB and Brett Kavanaugh both realized that they were the justices that were on the chopping block, meaning, ladies and gentlemen out there, with Brett Kavanaugh and all of his issues when we had an FBI investigation, I'm sure he's thinking twice over his shoulder about Democrats that might want to remove him for the bench, which he barely got confirmed. We can both agree with that. With ACB, she was just confirmed. I think that would have been a loyalty test to Donald Trump, or the Democrats would have put it out like that. Maybe they would have gone after her. Maybe that's why she didn't join the dissent. I don't know, right? I'm speculating, but what's striking to me is that you have Justice Thomas, Justice Alito, and Justice Neil Gorsuch. That they all joined in this dissent. So it's Justice Alito and Justice Thomas together have over 40 years collectively on the bench. These are not jurists, that are uneducated. I guess that's what my point is here, Suni. These are very intelligent men. And for anybody, and I really hope this doesn't happen, for anybody in the left-wing media to twist or to say that, and it's already going to start, that they need to be removed or, they're not trustworthy. People should really think about that, guys, and really think about the words that came from these Supreme Court justices and how long they've been on the bench for. Justice Thomas has been on the bench for over 30 years. This is a very intelligent man. And mind you, ladies and gentlemen, not once during this whole time did I say he was black, because it doesn't matter. That's important. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the man is. He's a very accomplished judge, no matter who he is. That's what's important. But you're going to see the left-wing media play that out soon, too.
Oh, for sure. Look, I'm going to read what he said. He said that decision to rewrite the rules seems to have affected too few ballots to change the outcome of any federal election, but that may not be the case in the future. These cases provide us with an ideal opportunity to address just what authority non-legislative officials have to set election rules, and do so well before the next election. Their refusal to do this is inexplicable. The only reason that you don't, this is my theory, because they've thrown this out themselves. They don't want public uproar. They do not want public disorder. They don't want the public acting in any type of way. So they're just like, yeah, well, we don't want the public to revolt, pretty much, if we do what's right. How many times have we heard them say that now? So many times. So it makes me think of that, and then it just makes me think. It confirms what I already know, Ted, to say that this government is completely and utterly corrupt. Period. They don't want to look at Biden anymore. I talked about that a few days ago. The Senate-led the Republican-led investigation only called one witness, Austin. And that one witness they called, his name is Amos. What's his last name? I forgot his last name. He was an advisor to the Biden campaign. He was also a part of the Obama administration. So you're expecting an advisor to both of these crooked politicians to come in there and tell you the truth about Burisma and U.S. policy?
Well, absolutely. Well, it's a third-term Obama administration. We know that from the communications team, right, which is from the Obama era. We know that from Merrick Garland, who's, probably going to be confirmed as the AG, which honestly, I would have liked to see a little bit more pushback from that after the statements this morning about how it wasn't domestic terrorism, how Antifa was attacking a federal courthouse in Portland because they did it at night and the court wasn't in session. Come on. I mean, now we're just playing semantics. It's kind of what you talk about, Suni, is that the liberal media and the liberals, they twist things in order to fit their narrative. So, well, although there was nobody in the courthouse at night hurting, or damaging a building, that doesn't hurt anybody else, but it damages our judicial system. It damages the symbol of who we are as America. And so, again, it's a third-term Obama era, administration, and the wheels are coming off of the bus. I mean, Joe Biden is getting clearly a lot more unstable. I know that there is a viral video going around with his stumbling and bumbling for the past couple of days. I don't know if he does hang on until 2022, and I think that it's becoming more apparent to people that the wheels on the bus of the country also are starting to fall off. And this is coming from many Democrats, by the way. I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter. I call them L's. There's a lot of L's that people are taking out there. By the way, liberals, where's your stimulus checks? Where's that $2,000? Didn't get it yet, have you?
Hey, look, I am enjoying this moment. This is our moment to show people who are on the fence, or the people that are on the fringes, as they like to say, what's really going on. There are over 75 plus million people that voted for Trump. I think it's way more.
Oh, yes.
We are paying attention and awake. This is a moment for Primetime Patriots, Be the Change. I'm going to be doing Cash's show until he comes back home for us to show and prove. I could sit on here and pull things all day and show you and connect the dots for you. It's a matter of people taking it in and doing their own investigations as well. Fact check me, please. So this is it's a sad moment because I called this. I said Kamala Harris is going to be a president. You're going to understand why I think it's completely irresponsible to let a woman sit in this position. And it's not to say that women aren't strong. It's not to say that women don't have leadership capabilities. You absolutely do. But that seat is designated for a man. And I'm talking about a God-fearing man that can lead the country. Kamala Harris is not God-fearing of anything. She is a communist.
And
She's
also the most liberal United States senator, in the country, even more left than Bernie Sanders. And that would even come from left liberal-leaning news agencies that are proud, by the way, to say this, ladies and gentlemen. They are so proud in order, and Suni, you did a show yesterday, if anybody saw the white different shades of whiteness. I caught a little bit of that. And that's where that is where we are going. I think with the messaging that Joe Biden is giving us anyway, that we know that Kamala will become the president. She is always there. She's living right across the street, ladies and gentlemen. She has refused at this point. Now they call it cleaning or they call it renovations, Suni. I'm not buying that. She lives right across the street, and I think that's for good reason because she wants to be around. She wants to be in the paper. She's been having interviews by herself without Joe Biden around. And what that tells you is that, and taking calls from different foreign leaders, one thing I wanted to bring up, Suni, that's interesting about our beloved President Donald Trump is he will be speaking at CPAC at the end of the month, which was interesting because that news, I believe it came out today. Maybe it came out last night. But a couple of days ago, it came out that Mike Pence wasn't going to speak. And I thought that was interesting, especially a man that everybody's saying has high political value going into the future. And you wouldn't go and speak there. And the reason now I could put it together, I think we can all put it together, is because President Trump will be there. And of course, he does not want to probably share the stage. And that's only going to help Trump. That's only going to help Trump, honestly, ladies and gentlemen. The more that the left tries to tear him down. Now, Suni, the one thing I am worried about is President Trump as a private citizen being hurled lawsuit after lawsuit. I do expect criminal charges to be brought in Georgia. Not saying that he will be found guilty. I'm just saying I do believe criminal charges will stem from Georgia from that phone call because the district attorney down there has the hots for him. We'll say it with a lack of a better term. And of course, New York, they have been investigating him, on and off for the past 30 years. We know that because New York doesn't like people that are more successful than them and they do it the right way. So the fact is month after month, we're going to hear litigation against Trump. And I think that this is important, him coming back into the public light at the end of the month, making a speech, letting everybody know I'm still here and I'm still going to be there. Because again, if anybody thinks that anybody else on a primary stage in 2023 can beat Donald Trump, you're out of your mind right now. You really are. And I don't want to hear about Nikki Haley anymore, please. Do you hear about her a lot? Everybody I talk to that messages me, they say, Austin, what do you think about Nikki Haley? And I'm like, really? And I don't see it. And I see it in the moderate scheme if people think that we need to be more moderate. But guess what? If the Democrats have the plan in which they're going to enforce in this country, you're not going to need to be a moderate because you're going to have to take the whole country back. There's no going to the middle when you're talking about communism and socialism, ladies and gentlemen. Right. That's the point. There's no moderate. Now, there's still moderate Democrats out there that don't believe in that. But at the same time, a lot of them hate Donald Trump so much because of the left-wing media and the elites and this brainwashing. That's what our problem is. Because you can't negotiate with the radical left. And don't even try. You're wasting your time.
They show that every time Nancy Pelosi pushes for some piece of legislation to change, or every time she is looking to use amendments in her favor, she shows she doesn't give a crap about the Constitution. You only use the Constitution when you need it to get over something, to get over on something, to hide something, to get rid of somebody that you feel is a threat to whatever con. We know that Democrats constantly present a con. It's a con. This is what they do. This is what Clinton does. Clinton sells other countries democracy. But what they don't understand is that democracy is communism, because eventually you're going to have that corrupt element come in, and these countries take on the same voter machines we use. They use Dominion. They use Smartmatic. Myanmar is an example. Clinton is in there heavy since 2014, and she's completely taken over and helped them reconstruct their government, turn it into a democracy. And now you're looking at the military takeover. They also package democracy and the Green New Deal as if it's this magnificent plan that's going to help all of us go forward in the future, and everybody will be okay. There'll be no hunger. Do you hear how ridiculous these things sound?
Sure.
It's communism.
The biggest thing, Suni, is do the Chinese believe in global warming? And the answer to that question is no. And it's a resounding no. Now, I'll give you my opinion. I don't believe in global warming. What I do believe is I believe in global cooling. If you listen to the real scientists, ladies and gentlemen, and look this up, the sun spores that are radiating off of the sun are not like they have been in the past couple of decades. And that is why you see a polar vortex, which is what happened in Texas, ladies and gentlemen, a once-in-a-generation storm that they might get again in a few decades because of the fact that we're seeing that shift. But why is that important? Because if other countries like India and like China, Bangladesh and Russia, they don't agree with climate change, they're not going to do anything to curb their greenhouse gas emissions, even though they say they're going to. But again, why do we take the word from countries that consistently lie? Because the Democrats consistently lie, so they can't tell anymore who's lying to them and who's not lying to them. So to them, it's business as usual. But to us, to conservatives who only see people and not groups of people or classes of people, we look at it and say, no, we need to figure this out as a people. But the other side would say, if you don't believe in global warming, then you're a conspiracy theorist, you know?
Yeah.
And again, that's the place where you can't find the middle ground and be common sense and sensible, I suppose, Suni. But that's too hard today. I'm a conspiracy theorist and a white supremacist, if you didn't know.
The only science that these people believe in is political science. And Blake made me think when he said that. This is political science we're dealing with. It's not science that can be tested. It's a bunch of theories that they're putting together to control the country. They're controlling a nation. They got war tactics they got going on us, experiments. It's insane. I used to think a lot of this stuff was conspiracy theory until COVID. COVID actually confirmed a lot for me.
Well, are you wearing your double mask? Is everybody wearing your double mask out there? Because next week it might be 3. Hell, why don't you just put on the whole box for the protection? And if you talk to any medical professional, Suni, I can be completely honest with you that you were never going to keep everything out. That what
Mm,
they are putting safety to you, making you feel safe. As somebody who has family in the medical profession in that field, I can tell you that you need an N95 mask, and in order to have an N95 mask, you need
yep.
to be fitted for it. There are specific sizes that medical professionals get sized for every year. Wearing your cloth mask or your surgical grade mask is not going to protect you any more, honestly, than just going out there and living your life. I'm sorry. And that's the truth. And the fact that if you want to wear two masks because it looks nice on Pete Buttigieg and his husband, and Dr. Fauci thinks that it's going to probably make more people money because if you have to wear two masks, you're going to use more masks. And nobody talks about that, sooner. You know what I mean? You know, like 3M and all of these companies that get $1 million
Yeah.
contracts because, well, you know, look at Lloyd Austin, the defense secretary. He just authorized a $285 million missile defense contract, and he owns almost $1 million worth of stock in Raytheon. So you wonder the people that are pushing the things to the people, which at this point are sheep, if you're following everything the mainstream media has to tell you, then these
Facts.
other countries, I'm sorry, these companies, they're making millions upon millions of dollars, like 3M. And search these companies that make face masks and make hand sanitizer and stuff like that. Their stocks are going through the roof. They're making more money than they ever made before. What are they going to do after COVID? What do you do? I mean, it's you know, sorry, Sony, that's a little tangent, but it's ridiculous. You know,
This
we
is
got
this show is
three
about
masks next week. I don't know.
this is about making Americans think again. These common sense questions, the things that we bring up, a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people really think like that, you know, or they're not even, that's not even on their radar because they got a bajillion other things to worry about. So that's where we come in. And we talk to people who are thriving on common sense and being like, hey, look here, this doesn't make sense. The more people you wake up, the louder you get. The strength in numbers. That's why we at Primetime Patriots believe in hashtag strength in numbers. It doesn't work unless we're all thinking. You have to think, and you got to think in numbers. And I don't mean group think. I mean everybody using their brain and doing proper research. Just do proper research. That's all you got to do. That's it. Well,
And keep yourself informed. That's the most important thing. You know, I do
yeah.
it all the time, Suni. I watch President Biden when he speaks because I want to know what he is trying to communicate to the American people because I want to understand when I read a news story whether they are twisting the words because then the credibility in my mind starts to change.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, as a person, I think I tried to do a do-over with everybody. I said, let's see if we can go back to normal. Let's see if anybody makes the effort. And as of right now, CBS, NBC, all of them, they haven't tried a bit. If anything, they've been, you know, doing more of Biden's dirty work, you know, than they've ever done before. And then you look at it and you say, well, you have to listen to the president because if you don't, then you're not going to know what's going on because you're never going to find it out in the media. You're never going to find out
Mm-hmm.
the truth. So when you I want to just urge that to people, Suni. If you know when you see clips of these confirmation hearings like Merrick Garland, really watch them. Really watch how these people are answering the questions, dodging questions, or not even addressing the question that they were asked because they don't want to be honest with you, the American people. And
Mm-hmm.
the more that we can realize that we don't need politicians that are bought and paid for by the big corporations, right? And the unions, because that's another issue that we could talk about another day. But that's what we need in this country. So you have to look to these people who are speaking because if you don't, again, you're never going to find the truth in the media.
Yeah. That sums it up. So it sucks what's happening with the Supreme Court, guys, but I'm not surprised. And I hope that we gave you an accurate reasoning behind why we're not surprised and why you should not be surprised. But doesn't mean that you give up in the fight. It just shows us that the Supreme Court judges that were in there that are supposed to be doing their job, they need to be held accountable. This is insane. This is America. Oh my gosh. And this is our president. Fuck. I don't even like admitting that. And it just made me drop the F-bomb. This is who is representing the country. This guy right here. And I pulled this up specifically because I'm going to talk about the Muslim minority group that are in is it Xinjiang, this region in China?
Sounds
They're
about
pretty
right.
much
Yeah.
going through a genocide. And Canada voted to pass a motion, non-binding, admitting this is a genocide that's happening over there. But this is what our president had to say about genocides. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen this, but I'm going to run it back again.
You know, Chinese leaders, if you know anything about Chinese history, it has always been the time when China has been victimized by the outer world is when they haven't been unified at home. So the central, vastly overstated, the central principle of Xi Jinping is that there must be a united, tightly controlled China. And he uses his rationale for the things he does based on that. I point out to him, no American president can be sustained as a president if he doesn't reflect the values of the United States. And so the idea, I'm not going to speak out against what he's doing in Hong Kong, what he's doing with the Uyghurs in western mountains of China, and Taiwan trying to end the one China policy by making it forceful. I said, and by the he said he gets it. Culturally, there are different norms at each country, and their leaders are expected to follow.
What?
I just had to take a breath there because we are, you know, for anybody out there, on a very serious note, and me and Sunni joke around sometimes, but this is a topic to never joke around about. And he was talking about the Muslim women and men that are in concentration camps. Mind you, those women are being raped by Chinese soldiers. And Joe Biden and Sunni, the most disgusting part is he brought up Hong Kong, because Hong Kong for years has been an autonomous zone with so many freedoms. And we've worked so hard to establish the fact that China would respect that. So for Joe Biden to sit there and to say that we're not going to support democracy, we're not going to support freedom, we're not going to stand up against genocide. If I'm Taiwan, I'm deathly afraid that the majority of my people are going to die because we can't protect ourselves. And ladies and gentlemen, the United States is not going to rescue Taiwan. We're not sending any troops over there. Joe Biden said it himself. Listen to the statement. Am I wrong, Sunni?
No. You just heard what he said. He said genocide is a cultural thing. He said concentrations is a cultural thing. And I brought that up to him, but I also realized that they have a culture over there and this is how they rule. Like, dude,
And
we gotta be smarter than that as Americans. I'm bringing this up on the show to like show you exactly what's happening, bro. Other countries are recognizing that this is a genocide. He's an illegitimate president in my mind, and in reality. But this is a representation of our president. He just addressed it as a cultural issue. And you just crapped on everybody over there suffering. That is absolutely insane.
And why do we build relationships, Sunnis, with other country? You know, we build relationships to share with them what it's like to be not only an American, but to live an American dream with freedom and democracy. And that is what we have always tried to show the world, that you too as well can build a beautiful society based on American principles. The problem is Joe Biden is more than happy with China doing them and America doing us, but at the same time, not holding China accountable for anything. So that's why, and ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden just basically fell on the sword for our country, but didn't fight any battle. Now, President Trump, who is filing the tariffs, right, getting the money back for our people, trying to tighten the trade deficit. Now you just have Joe Biden that says we're going to go business as usual. China's going to be them. We're going to be us. And then when they start not selling us goods at the prices we have, you know, deemed at, then maybe we'll have an argument. But China's never going to take us seriously until Joe Biden gets out of office. And just wait until Kamala gets in. They're not going to take us seriously at all.
At all.
They won't even pick up the phone. America's calling. Oh,
okay.
Take a message. You know what I mean? It's not important. I mean, and I'm sorry, but that would just be the viewpoint, and you know it just as well as I do.
This is look, I just want people to think again. Women get upset, offended when I say that's not your It's not a woman's place. And that is not anything that should be taken negatively. We are nurturers. We're naturally more sensitive. We're naturally more loving. We're naturally more soft. We are the weaker sex. All this transgender stuff proves that. You got guys that, hey, I'm a trans woman, and you get in the ring with an actual woman and he's kicking her ass. You know why? Because men are stronger. Period. Point blank. What is wrong with admitting that about yourself? What is wrong with allowing a man to lead? We don't need a woman in that seat. The most you're going to say is, I made history while screwing the rest of my country. They're not going to take us serious.
Well, I think it's because you can't admit that, Suni, right? Because then wouldn't that be? See, this is the liberal left radical logic: is that if you sit there and you say that there's a predominant factor for, let's say, Muslim men that don't respect women. Now, that's not a stereotype, ladies and gentlemen. That's in their culture. So if you were to admit that, then you would be, I guess, attacking the Muslim culture. If you said that they treat their women like dogs, which they do. I mean, they kill them overseas. I mean, they basically enslave them. I believe in Saudi Arabia, women were just able to drive in the past 3 years. Oh, and that had something to do with President Trump as well. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, go back and look that up. That happened about 2018. The Saudi Crown Prince. They were just able to drive, ladies and gentlemen. These are Muslim countries, right? That treat women terribly. And now those same women, by the way, are now in China, right? They're smuggled to China. Or they're captured, they're taken to China in concentration camps, and they're being raped by Chinese soldiers, and they're getting those orders, no doubt, from the CCP. And when you sit there as a human being and as an individual, and Suni, I say this a lot, conservatives, right? I don't look at people as classes of people or as groups of people. I look at people as people. And to think that a poor, innocent woman is being raped by a man and has no way to get out of that situation, and as America, when we speak out as many bad things around the world and we're not highlighting this, then there's a reason for it because of China-U.S. relations. And it has to do about big corporations and big business and big sports leagues. But let's talk about the people. We do, but, nobody else does.
Where's the Me Too movement? Where are you guys at?
Exactly. And not only that, Suni, where is all of these, women defense leagues? Where is that radical left one that was at the march in Washington right after Trump? Linda Sarsour, where's her? Where is she? Where is she talking? But I'm serious, though, for a minute, right? She's a Muslim woman, right? And you would think that as somebody that speaks out against atrocities with women, right? You would speak out against atrocities of women in your own culture and around the world that are being demonized. If you want to be taken seriously, that's just a fair point. I'm not attacking her. I'm just saying, if you're going to talk about people in America, why don't we talk about modern day slavery today rather than in a House committee talking about reparations? No, let's free the people that are enslaved today.
We need reparations. Hey,
and how much is that? How much is that? Is that what, 200?
I'm gonna bust every black liberal's dream. Okay, and there's some black conservatives that are like, bruh, I'll take that reparations. I don't care. You want to give it to me? I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna bust your dreams. You will never get reparations because you are not a nation of people. You will never get that. Every group that got that, they were a nation. They came from somewhere else. They were not native to this nation, which is America. So you are not entitled to any reparation, like ever. Never. Like, let that sink in. Never will you give reparations. If they give you reparations, once again, they're going against what the founding fathers set in place for us.
And spending even more of the money that isn't theirs. And this is why we are in such a problem in our country, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to come to a situation where there's no more money to pull. We have been overdrafting the checking account for far too long, and there's no money in the account. Everything that we spend, and I say this a lot, Suni, on my show, you know that, in 1 year, our debt service that we pay, ladies and gentlemen, so the debt, the interest on the debt that we hold is more money every year than the entire federal government pulls in taxation wise. We're not on a path, and it would be even responsible of our lawmakers. Suni, I brought this up. Why don't we have a 2040 or a 2050 plan? I know it's in the future, but are we just never going to pay down this debt? And again, this is where everybody, this is why it's important, because when you bankrupt a country, it's not very easy to come back. And this is what the left is doing to the country. And it's far other things. But I know me and you and Suni talk, and it's Suni, and it's the exterior issues we talk about, like men in girls leagues. Yes, that's a problem. That's not going to destroy the country per se. What's going to destroy the country is, again, this new $2 trillion stimulus package, right? That's supposed to lose at least 1 million or 2 million jobs, spending all of this money on all of these new programs, like the Green New Deal. And when you eventually run out of money, what do? Your money's not worth what it used to be before. So you can't stimulate your government like you did in the past. Your money's worthless. So you need to spend $10 trillion just to get your industries back and going. And that might not even work. And where does that $10 trillion come from? Who pays the debt service? China. And now I wonder why Joe Biden's so friendly with China now when you're talking about genocide. Does it make sense, guys? It kind of, you pull it in like that, and it kind of comes full circle.
All I want to know is, where's Me Too? Where are the feminists? Where are all the sexual assault survivors? Where are the SJWs that thrive on social issues? This is a social justice moment. Where are you? U.S. already said that there was a genocide happening in January. Oh my gosh. Are you serious? So Mike Pompeo said this, and then our president had the nerve to get on TV and say it's a cultural thing. I'm going to play that one more time for people.
Before you do, can I ask you a question? If this was the Trump administration, right, and these are Muslim women, right, in China being raped, would the liberal media be saying that Donald Trump isn't taking action because they're Muslim?
Yep. He would be a xenophobic.
Thank you.
A xenophobic president.
I just wanted to point that out, because when we had the travel ban, right, which wasn't a Muslim travel ban, okay, but that's the point I'm trying to make, is that if this was Donald Trump in the White House and not doing any action, like Joe Biden isn't doing anything, Donald Trump would be, he would be attacked for this. So maybe Republicans should start calling out Democrats and saying, are you not speaking out for these women because they're Muslim? That's the only realization I'm left with, Suni. Or you just don't care about innocent women being raped. And if you don't care about that, you're a terrible person. I'm sorry.
This is our job. I don't want them doing my job. I want them to do what they normally do. And I want to be the one sitting here calling it out and waking people up. So keep being stupid. Go ahead. Keep doing it. Because I'm going to sit here and call it out all day. He said it was a cultural thing. I would like for Miss Circle back around. I would love if the media would ask her questions like this. And I would love to see her squirm and try to cover for this guy. CNN is fact checking him. He doesn't know up or down. He didn't know what the heck he was saying during the town hall. Nobody's seen Joe since then. Have you seen him?
No.
Have you seen Kamala?
Tonight I did. They did a vigil at the White House because we've reached over 500,000, allegedly. I always say allegedly. I mean, I have people in my own life, that would tell me, that's worked in the medical field, that they have seen people full of cancer die of heart attacks, that might have had COVID, but that is not the reason why they die. So, I mean, but 500,000 is the official number they put out. So they did a vigil at the White House tonight, and I'm not discounting that. I thought it was nice. But again, we have bigger issues that are coming in the next few weeks. Where is the COVID-19 legislation? I'm not a fan of $2 trillion. But I do know that relief does need to go out. Are we any closer with that? Because a $15 minimum wage is not going to survive in that package. It's still in that package in the text so far. So that means that you have to pull that out. You have to rewrite the bill. And I believe benefits end March 12th. So they're running out of time. And again, this is not a situation where you want to do, which is if you're getting the economy back on the track again, you don't want to pull people's money away that you're giving to them, or, stunt the economy. And when are lawmakers going to understand that? Are we going to peel the Band-Aid off quickly, or are we just going to, keep on gnawing at it? And you're further damaging the economy. I mean, that's the point, Suni. You got to get it back on the road. You can't do this stop, go, and then all these people lapse in their unemployment benefits or whatever, and then you still don't have these teachers, going to school. It's a mess.
It's a shit show.
And this week will be a big thing. This week you will find out, where the direction of this COVID stimulus package is going. And it's not going anywhere with a $15 an hour national minimum wage.
It's national. I thought it was federal. So it is national.
Well, yeah, federal,
okay.
not state, federal.
Okay.
But that's important though, because
Right.
that's your benchmark. So if you're, whatever stipulations they'll put in there for small business wise and everything like that, I do believe that'll be a 10th Amendment issue when you're talking about states' rights, because how is the federal government? I don't know if you heard the statement from Ro Khanna, or anybody out there that's watching right now. He's a congressman from California, I believe. And he made the statement that if small businesses can't pay $15 an hour, then we don't need them, or something to that effect. I read that article earlier. And that's the fact that, what is the federal government going, who's going to be protected? Businesses with 20 employees or less, 50 employees or less. And we talk about it, Suni. In some places, you don't need a $15, an hour. You don't need $15 an hour minimum wage in Montana or in Idaho or in North Dakota, and in some states that $15 minimum wage isn't enough, like in New York and California, but that's because of mismanagement in those states.
Yeah.
So you don't need to do it at a national level, but what you do need to do, I think what's fair is 12. I say that a lot, Suni. I think 12 is fair because, again, this is going to be for 2025, not immediately. So for 2025, $12, maybe even $13 an hour, whatever. But, $7.25 is low. This is where the Republicans can't get their stuff together. It's because you need to bend somewhere. $7.25, okay, that's nothing. But 15 is too high. So why don't we come in the middle, right? Isn't that what politics is all about? We come and we make deals? No, it's either 15 or 7.25. What? I mean, this is where we are today on every spectrum, Suni, and for everybody out there, just understand that a little bit. Sometimes your side has to give and take too. Yeah. We need to understand that people can't be living on $7.25 an hour. That is not, and that does happen in this country, guys. It does. For sure. So again, we can move the needle forward, but again, they're going to fight over this $15 an hour minimum wage soon. I already know it. And I already know that they're not going to get this done by the deadline because Joe Biden already said he'll toss it, but the Democrats won't. That's why Nancy Pelosi didn't take it out of the bill. So now you've got Democrats fighting against their own president that they put into office. And we already knew this was going to happen. See, it's not just like a fiery show like it was during Trump's administration because people like to open their mouth. Well, no, everybody's so scared inside of the Biden administration that nobody wants to go against him. So if this was, it's just ridiculous.
We'll see what happens, man. Everything is all over the effing place. Woo! Ken said, take that fake ass president off the screen. No, I want people to hear him say,
oh, please.
Being held in a concentration camp, being raped, and China often these people, just because they're different, Muslims, that it's cultural. I'm gonna call Joe Biden out, man.
Chinese leaders, if you know anything about Chinese history, it has always been the time when China has been victimized by the outer world is when they haven't been unified at home. So the central, vastly overstated, the central principle of Xi Jinping is that there must be a united, tightly controlled China. And he uses his rationale for the things he does based on that. I point out to him, no American president can be sustained as a president if he doesn't reflect the values of the United States. And so the idea, I'm not going to speak out against what he's doing in Hong Kong, what he's doing with the Uyghurs in western mountains of China, and Taiwan trying to end the one China policy by making it forceful. I said, and by the he said he gets it. Culturally, there are different norms at each country, and their leaders are expected to follow.
You're muted.
I almost dropped the N-bomb. I said this, and then I stopped myself.
So he did
Yeah.
admit that it is she, right? Because he says he a lot. You know, he kind of forces it, like, you know, and I'm not gonna talk about what he's doing. So
I don't
is
know,
it
man.
is it him controlling these concentration camps? And doesn't that make it worse, Sunni, if it's the president of China controlling the orders on these concentration camps? I don't know. Maybe
For
I'm
sure.
reading into something there, but that's
For
it
sure.
makes it worse than government officials or bad actors when the president of the country is contributing and has knowledge of, again, ladies and gentlemen, innocent women being raped. I mean, I don't care what race you are, what religion you are, you know, it's that. It's that. Oh, it's terrible.
It's sad, but this was another episode of Make America Think Again. These comments are off the chain tonight. Oh my God, people are funny. I don't know your name. What is her name? Well, I'm going to have some fun before I leave, because this was actually a depressing show. Where did her comment go? It's just gone. Listen, don't rush me along on my show. If I have a guest on and he's talking, we're all going to be respectful and listen to him talk. If you don't want to sit here for an hour, you don't have to, bro. But don't be rude. We're all adults here. We can all conduct ourselves here. We all know what's called self-control. I hope a lot of us have it. Stop being so mean. I don't understand why people feel the need to voice every single thought they have when it's mean. You know what I'm saying, Austin? When you're saying things just to be rude. Like, oh, hurry it along, bro. I don't want to hear this. Who do you think you are? Number one,
Yeah,
you
well,
don't pay me to do this.
the point is, I mean, Sunni, you know me for a while now, and you know, things I have to say, they're real, and if you listen to what I have to say, you know, you're going to see it right in front of your face. So I mean, if you're not listening to this, then you really don't care, because all we're talking about here is the issues that we're facing in this country, you know, and they're real. They're real. They're real. And again, I mean, Sunni, you brought it up. This was kind of a depressing show, and it kind of was, but it's important though, because again, you know, if it can happen there, it can happen in other places. I think this is, you know, this is the whole intention of why Sunni wanted to talk about this, because again, ladies and gentlemen, if you look to 100 years ago, nobody would have ever thought that Germany would have become the place that it did, but it did. And if we just pretend that our history never happened, then we're being irresponsible. We're doing a disservice to ourselves and to the world. America is supposed to be the bright light on the top of the hill for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we should really be trying to protect innocent people, at least, right? You know, don't you in your heart ask yourself that question? And if it doesn't bother you, I don't know, maybe that's a you issue. And I don't mean to attack anybody, Sunni. I just mean if you can't listen to these stories and have some kind of compassion, it's an issue.
Yeah.
It's an issue.
Not every show is going to be fun. Not every show is going to be like jam-packed, slammed with energy all the time. There are times where I have to sit down and be serious. There are times where I have to talk about uncomfortable things, but all that I'm saying, I'm not going to waste much more time on you, is control yourself. If you don't like what I'm saying here, don't watch. But don't bring a negative attitude to a really informative episode of Make America Think Again. These were probably things that a lot of people maybe didn't even know about. And now they're aware. And now they can go look at it and tell their friends or their family what's actually happening. But when you want to rush people along and tell people how to run their show, you completely ruin that moment for everybody else. So everybody that stayed, and we kept a full audience. Just saying. Everybody that hung around, thank you for watching. Everybody that's listening in podcast form, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, Austin. This was fun.
Thank you for having me, Suni. I know that I go on your shows a lot. It was nice to be here and to, be in the new audience. Some of you know me, but for all of you who don't, this Suni does, a service to everybody. And it's so, and Blake and Kaylee and everybody at Primetime Patriots, so everybody has to understand is that this is the foundation in order for us to move our country forward with young, intellectual, and people with drive and with energy and passion. And we are the next generation. So we might not have it all put together. We all get in our emotions, Maybe my points are a little elaborate, but if you listen to me, I know I talk fast. I'm from Boston, but they're important. They're important. They're important. Everything Suni ever shares is important. And follow this story about these poor innocent women, please, because I know that I'm going to be.
Yes. Share it, follow it. Let people know what's happening. And let's hold Joe Biden accountable. Let's hold him accountable. I'm going to end on this. And this is something to make people think. COVID wasn't so deadly. So deadly. And I'm saying that it only killed 500,000 people. Okay? We're not even at 1 million people dead. Now, 500,000 is way too much. Of course, the CDC says that they inflated those numbers with 6% possibility that they might not have been COVID-related deaths. So we don't really know the true number. But for this to be so deadly, for us to have our schools closed, for teachers to act like they're scared to go back because they might die, for us to have to call basic things like firefighters, EMS, grocery store workers, people working at Walmart, they are all clumped in with first responders because of COVID-19. And COVID-19 took 500,000 people, 6% inflation with those numbers. Okay? And it's damn near a year. We are pushing at a year. Where are all the dead people? A lot of these deaths are nursing home deaths. I hope that causes people to think about the masks, about the restaurant lockdowns, about this huge payout that's coming to the blue states that decided to stay locked down, to the schools. Just pay attention. Share this episode, whether you're listening to one on the podcast or you're watching it live, share it. People need to know what's going on. Cuomo needs to go. You're absolutely right. Okay? I'm going to end on that. I hope you guys think about it, let it marinate, and start posting things about it. I'm in jail for 7 days, so I can't post anything. I'll be watching everybody else, though. Sucks, man. Good night, guys.